Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with random reviews from the Overflow room as we restock the Overflow room in reverse alphabetical order. Well, we're still working our way through Richard Strauss. And this this series, at least this particular pile, involves quite a bit of pointless duplication of repertoire. But there may be some things in here that you didn't know existed, and so we still should go through them, even if we've talked about some of them before. Holy cow. My God. All right, first. So let's start off here. We have the Alpine Symphony, Don Juan, and Salome's Schleiertanz, the Dance of the Seven Veils, with the Cleveland Orchestra and Ashkenazi. Now, Ashkenazi actually recorded the Alpine Symphony a couple of times, 2 or 3 times. I think at least twice, maybe 3 times. It's like nuts. I mean, was anybody waiting for his first time? No. But it's with the Cleveland Orchestra, which is always fun to hear. The Don Juan is good. They're good performances. They're very well played. They're very well recorded. Ashkenazi, for some reason, did a whole pile of Strauss tone poems. I mean, as a pianist, you didn't have an awful lot of opportunities to take on the music of Richard Strauss, and no one was particularly waiting for his take on Strauss, were we? And we're still not. Then we've got, Don Quixote and Till Eulenspiegel with Kurt Masur and Heinrich Schiff, along with the Romance in F major for cello and orchestra, which is a pretty early work that nobody ever pays attention to. These are good performances. Masur, as usual, is a little bit flat-footed. He could be a little bit more interesting, but there's nothing to scream about. And of course, Heinrich Schiff is wonderful, and I think it's great to have him doing Don Quixote, so that's nice. All right, that's on Phillips, or it was. A lot of these things showed up in various Richard Strauss tone poem boxes. That's why I'm pointing this out. For example, these 2 little treats. The Blomstedt Alpine Symphony and Don Juan, and the Also sprach Zarathustra, and Death and Transfiguration, and Till Eulenspiegel. This is a great record. This Zarathustra, Death and Transfiguration is fabulous. And Eulenspiegel is really, really good. These are with the San Francisco Symphony. They are on Decca. Now, these have all been boxed up in the Blomstedt box. Now, when they did the Strauss tone poem box, they had all of the Strauss tone poems with Blomstedt except Till Eulenspiegel, where they used Masur. Go figure. So, I don't need those, but there they are, the single performances. Then some historical recordings. Oh, my God. Ein Heldenleben and Death and Transfiguration with Mengelberg from 1941-1942. Well, the great Mengelberg Ein Heldenleben is the New York Phil one that's on RCA with New York Philharmonic from 1929, and it sounds amazingly good for its era. Better than this one. And let's see, the Death and Transfiguration, well, it's nothing special. It's okay. Mengelberg was a great Straussian, of course. Ein Heldenleben was dedicated to Mengelberg and the Concertgebouw by Strauss, so they had a certain proprietary interest in it. These Naxos reissues have been remastered. The sound's never going to be great, but it's historically interesting. Then we have Strauss himself conducting. I put this under Strauss because, why not? It's Strauss conducting Beethoven's 5th and 7th. Oh, these are awful performances. Just horrible. The 7th has cuts, especially the finale. It's just, completely boring, straight ahead, uninterested, stale, not fabulously well played, dismally recorded. The sonics are just horrible. These were recorded in 1920 something or 19 something? Let's see, what does it say? 1928 and 1926. Ugh. But they're good to have just to show what an awful conductor Strauss was in this music. He was supposed to be very good. He was renowned for it, but he just, you could tell he wasn't comfortable recording it. He wasn't very interested in what he could do, and he didn't care. That was Strauss. Then we've got Strauss conducts Strauss here. 1936 broadcast performances on APR of Don Quixote Till Eulenspiegel. This is with the Staatskapelle Dresden, 1936, and the German radio Orchester der Deutschlandsenders doing Macbeth from 1936. These are just historically interesting, I guess, you know. I mean, I keep them in case they become historically interesting. Let's put it that way. Then we've got Furtwängler doing Strauss. This is fun. Don Juan, Till Eulenspiegel, and Death and Transfiguration. So what else is new? Okay, Furtwängler was never a big Straussian. He wasn't. Because Strauss, I don't think, was philosophically on the same page as Furtwängler was. And Furtwängler Strauss is really only mediocre. I mean, these are sluggish performances. The Don Juan is almost 19 minutes. Till Eulenspiegel is 16 and a bit, which is a minute or so more than it ought to be. Death and Transfiguration is normal, 24 minutes. It's the best performance, as you might expect from Furtwängler, because it transfigures. And, that perked him up somewhat. And then we've also got Smetana's The Moldau. It's an okay performance. Next. Strauss' Four Last Songs. We'll do Chia Pop with the London Symphony and Michael Tilson Thomas. Now, she did these things a few times, too. And Edita Gruberova doing the Brentano leader, and Karina Matila doing a bunch of songs, too. So this is kind of fun. Does anyone pay attention to this disc anymore? Actually, it doesn't deserve to disappear into obscurity. It's rather nice. That's why I kept it. Antal Dorati, Zarathustra, Don Juan, Macbeth. This is in the Dorati box. We've just talked about that, too. Wonderful sonics, very, very good performances. Nothing to complain about. And Electra. Ooh, this is the Ozawa, Hildegard Behrens, Christa Ludwig as Clytemnestra, Nadine Secunda as Chrysothemis, Ragnar Ulfung as Aegisthus, and Jorma Hönninen as Orestes with the Boston Symphony and Seiji Ozawa. Yay, this is, I think, live. I think this was live. Does it tell me if it's live? I seem to recall that it had something to do with live. They changed the cover. The original cover had Hildegard Behrens look like she stuck her finger in an electric socket and went, doing her like Bride of Frankenstein look, going like that. Oh, how I miss it. But it's a pretty good Electra. I think Ozawa could be a little bit more dynamic and compelling, frankly, but the singing's very good. So that's fun to have. And that was the cheapy reissue. Then we've got the Schulte-Strauss thing. Some of this we just talked about because some of these performances are in Schulte in Europe. The Vienna Philharmonic, like Heldenleben, and the Zarathustra's the Chicago, and the Don Juan and Eulenspiegel, I think, are with Chicago, and the Alpine Symphony, which is one of the best ever. It's one of the reference recordings with the Bavarian Radio Symphony Orchestra. It's an amazingly exciting performance. Just fabulous, with the best thunder sheet at the climax that you'll ever hear in your life. This is a good Strauss twofer. One of Schulte's better efforts. I really like it. So, for those of you who say, I never say anything nice about Schulte, well, I actually have quite a bit. But yes, I'm saying something nice. Then we've got some of these, like these Denon things here that are kind of interesting. Herbert Blomstedt's earlier Strauss recordings with the Staatskapelle Dresden. We've got Till Eulenspiegel's Merry Pranks, Metamorphosen, which is beautifully done, and Death and Transfiguration. I like the San Francisco ones actually better in the tone poems, even though this is the Staatskapelle Dresden, because I just think that Blomstedt had settled into the music better and was a little bit more emphatic in the way he conducted it, but that's all right. This is Heldenleben with the same forces, with the Staatskapelle Dresden and Blomstedt. Again, I like the San Francisco one better, but I can imagine people loving this too. It's always wonderful to hear that orchestra. And Don Juan and Zarathustra with the Staatskapelle Dresden. Of course, the great Staatskapelle Dresden Strauss recordings are with Kempe on Warner, and those are also more compelling, I think, than these. These are just a touch faceless, in my view. But I keep them because it's Blomstedt and it's Strauss, and it's the Staatskapelle Dresden, and so, you just have to have them. Oh, what have we got? Strauss conducts his own Alpine Symphony on Dutton with the Bavarian Staatskapelle, and we've got some Rosenkavalier waltzes and Don Juan. These are from 1929, 1941, 1941, and these have been reissued like a million different times in a million different ways. And if you want Strauss doing his own stuff, well, go for it. We've talked about this recording too. This is a wonderful record. Strauss's Salome's Final Scene, The Dance of the Seven Veils, 5 orchestral songs, and Boito's Prelude to Mephistopheles with Nikolai Gedda. This is with the Vienna Philharmonic and Bernstein, one of the rarities in the Bernstein discography. And when this came out on originals, I was very, very excited because these were hard to come by. And yeah, it's with Caballé doing the singing, by the way. So that's nice. She's a great Strauss singer. Her Salome is one of the best. It really is. And she never got much credit for it, I think. And we have, Ein Hauptleben in Metamorphosen with Blomstedt in San Francisco. There's also a Blomstedt like Strauss box or something like that that's got all this stuff in it. Mm-hmm. And finally, the 4 last songs with Schwarzkopf. This disc I have in every one of its incarnations. I think this is the earliest of them on CD. Then there was like a Reflexa or Reference or something like that, like a red cover. And then it became a Great Recordings of the Century or something like that. Just millions of these. And these are the mono ones. The 4 last songs, the Capriccio Final Scene and Arabella, conducted by Otto Ackermann and Lovro von Matičić. So there you go. Lots of duplication here. Oh my God. Isn't it unbelievable how many times this stuff got issued and reissued and deissued and unissued and para-issued. And, oh my goodness. But there it is. Keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.